Human being, are you also a Browns fan? Well, if you said yes to both of those things, then there's a good chance you're probably a little tired of our local Cleveland Brown sports media. Same old thing, day after day, night after night. It's time to hang the cleats up. It's time to pass the torch. If you're looking for something fun, something fresh, something where four people literally smack themselves in the face over and over with hot take after hot take, then my boys at Down with the Browns is where you want to be. It's just good for your soul. Available on Apple Podcast, YouTube, and Twitter. Getting down with the Browns.
And welcome back to another episode of Down with the Browns.
Let's go, baby!
You're here with your hosts, KFC and Manny Maxwell.
Yes.
And we have the most special guest of all time, the greatest reporter and analysis person of the Cleveland Browns.
Yes, sir.
Browns with Noah. Noah, I'm not going to butcher your last name because I respect you a lot. So I'll let you say it.
Yeah, how do you say that? How do you say your last name for the listeners out there and the viewers out there?
It's Weiskopf.
Weiskopf. Okay.
Yep.
Sweet.
Let's do it.
Man, we're so happy to have you back on the podcast already, man.
Yeah, I'm happy to be back. Thank you guys again for having me.
That is awesome. So we have a lot to go over for this show today. Christian, I think Matty G has sent out a public statement.
So
as his absence. We have two.
We have one from Mac and one from Matty G. So let me pull up Matty G's first.
His statement to the people,
which his statement is riddled with incorrect spelling of words.
Oh, naturally, that's Matty G.
Because I think he types too fast. He's a
Stefanski hater, so that's exactly probably
why. And he even
hard.
spelled his own name wrong. He put Natty G's.
See, this is why we don't listen to Matt.
He said, he spelled that wrong. Deny the claims against me. I look forward to proving my innocence and to reclaiming my. What did he even try to say there?
I don't know. That's definitely a typo.
Yeah, though this is riddled with errors.
I'm going to say Down with the Browns.
Okay, I could
and help bring a championship to Cleveland.
Okay, yeah.
Just
horrible. Yeah. See, horrible. I don't want any. Mac was trying to hate on me last episode. Trying to get me to pronounce names that nobody could pronounce.
Yeah.
And trying to make fun of me, but you know, Matty G cannot type. But Buffs, the Buffalo. He did a nice little segment there.
Yeah.
He put prepared statement from the desk of Big Buff. Dear loyal fans of Down with the Browns, I regret to inform you, but I will be absent from tonight's show as I am recovering from the almost drowning myself in the Browns Kool-Aid. I will be attending the Guardians home game on Friday, and I need to stress two things. No matter what Logan says, I have not lost my fastball. Number two, I will not be held responsible for any messages, videos sent out while inebriated. I can't talk either. I can't make fun of anybody. Inebriated. Sincerely, the Buffalo. P.S. Tell Manny the East still runs through Cleveland.
Listen, I don't want to turn this into a basketball conversation, but if we do go there, it'll be unfortunate for Cavs fans everywhere because it's playoff basketball time. So you know where the Celtics go. So I kind of want to touch on something really quickly because to start everything off, if that's okay, KFC. And honestly, having Noah here is perfect because there was a video put out by More For You Cleveland on Twitter that has gone viral with Tyreek Hill signing an autograph for a fan who was wearing a Deshaun Watson jersey. Of course, we have to address that. Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show addressed it, and I mean, it was everywhere. It was everywhere. And fans were really gravitating toward this, and even me right now, I'm just sweating right now at the fact that we couldn't get our hands on a potential Tyreek Hill. It's just. But again, I want to ask both of you, and Noah, you can give your professional kind of spin on it, because was there any real, and I'll give my take personally, was there any real noise to this? Do you think that Tyreek Hill is just just saying that because the guy was wearing a Cleveland Browns jersey and he's getting an autograph from Tyreek Hill. I don't know why, but I mean, I wouldn't deny that. But is there any kind of smoke with that with Tyreek Hill? In your opinion, was he being serious? Was he just joking because it's a Cleveland fan? I'll let KFC go first, and then I'll let Noah, and then I'll say what I think.
I think they're. Oh, my bad.
Go ahead.
My
I'm
bad.
sorry. No,
I
just don't. I mean, I don't think he was joking in any way. Like, I'm sure that there was probably those talks, but obviously the Browns didn't have those draft pieces that the Dolphins did to be able to make a move for him. Again, I think ultimately the big sort of conclusion you can draw from this is that something I've been saying for months now is players around the league have an interest in coming to Cleveland and going to play with Deshaun Watson. Like, it's just a fact. Players love to have defensive side of the ball. Players love to have a quarterback on the other side that they know is going to go out and be elite and throw touchdowns and put points on the board. So it's just something that comes with having an elite quarterback. It just is.
Yeah. See, I think that there was probably a little, smoke. Maybe there was a conversation about acquiring him, but like you said, we didn't really have the trade assets. And we had just landed Deshaun because I think he got traded just a few days after we acquired Deshaun, if I'm not mistaken. And because they had signed Juju, and then that's when all the Tyreek wanted out and stuff came out. But I think there might have been, but I don't think the Browns wanted to give up what they thought that they would have to give up to get Tyreek, because we wouldn't probably have a first-round pick till 2026, 2027?
Right.
Or probably farther back, but I don't think you can trade that far out, actually.
Yeah. I was upset, to say the least, because when I was looking at some of the responses from, once again, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show and some of the guys that were on there, and they didn't give any sort of credibility to that at all. They were just saying, oh, he's just saying that just to say it. First and foremost, there's no reason as to why Tyreek Hill would just say, hey, there's a random fan of a random team. Let me just tell this fan, oh, I really wanted to go to your team, but they just wouldn't pay me. Like, why would that even come out of his mouth? Just to say, you know what I mean? Like, why would you even entertain that as is it? You could chalk it up to he's trying to start a conversation with a fan that he's signing an autograph for, but he sees a bunch of fans like that. You know what I mean? So to just say that while he knows Tyreek Hill's been in this business for a while as well. He knows that once he says something, he's Tyreek Hill. Once he says something, it's going to go out into the airwaves. People are always recording. He's saying so many things about Patrick Mahomes and things like that when he went to Miami. He knows what he's doing. These guys are professional athletes. And if you were a rookie, that's one thing. If it was your second year, that's one thing. But when you've been in the league for 5, 6, 7, 8 NFL seasons, you know when you put things out there and people have cell phones to record you, you know it. And he said it pretty loud and clear. So that's why I think potentially there might have been something there. But I want to chalk this and bring this full circle back to you, Noah. Is it weird that there really wasn't anything? Because did you guys hear anything about that? I heard nothing about Tyreek Hill potentially wanting to go to Cleveland.
I think it was probably a matter of Hill wanting to see just exploring all of his options, right? I mean, he knew that he was going to go and leave Kansas City at that point because they were not going to pay him. So I think he reached out to a bunch of teams. I'm sure there's several 5, 6, 7 teams that he reached out to that they tried to see if some stuff would work. But I'll say these players, they talk about that kind of stuff. I've been in a situation with a player too from another team who told me look, I was trying to come to Cleveland. I was and so it's just, I mean, they talk. I mean, they're players, right? They're 24, 5, 6, 7 years old. Right. And they're just having a conversation. They're yeah, I almost went there or something like that. And then you sort of build off of that.
So these players do want to play in Cleveland, despite the way the media tries to shift that. Because Jeff kind of brought that up. People want to play with Deshaun Watson. What you're hearing? That's what you're hearing.
I can confirm that for sure.
Let's go.
It just makes you feel so good. It's the Browns are starting to build I'm not gonna say, I'm about to say dynasty, but they're building toward that,
But look, at the same time, it's not only Deshaun Watson, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Kevin Stefanski, players love him around the league. Players admire him and his leadership and who he is as a person. And then you bring in a guy like Jim Schwartz, who defensive players know his past and the success he's had. And then you have Bubba Ventrone, who players gravitate towards. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a mixture of a lot of different things.
What I'm hearing is Cleveland got that swag.
Cleveland's got that swag. Cleveland's got that
swag.
reputation. It's changing. It's changing around the world. I want to touch on something that Jeff just said. Maybe Tyreek is annoyed already playing with a mediocre quarterback in Miami, so he threw that out there. That's another thing I was thinking about when I saw that video. It's like it's weird to kind of say that if you. I don't know if you had Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, but then again, Tyreek did say crazy things when he was with Patrick Mahomes. But at the same time, it's like if you have a really good quarterback under center, you're really not throwing out, comments like that while being recorded knowingly to fans and saying like that. So obviously, I think Tyreek truthfully deep down knows that Patrick Mahomes was a better quarterback than Tua. And I think he also knows that Deshaun is a better quarterback than Tua as well. So it's like you throw those kinds of things out there. I do want to say, Noah, thank you so much for saying that comment, because I did light a candle because I thought you were going to, just to kind of bring my energy up because of last time saying that Odell wasn't going to come here. And it looks like Odell won't be coming here, unfortunately. It really does hurt my heart. But at the same time, it's one of those pipe dreams. Well, KFC, you're saying,
like Noah just said, he said players love Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah.
And I mean, you saw at the coaches and owners meeting, OBJ did dap up Kevin Stefanski. So, there was some things out there that OBJ didn't like the way stuff was getting called. And I think that kind of shut that down.
Yeah. And that's a perfect segue into my next hypothetical question. Does that OBJ handshake with Kevin Stefanski really mean anything? Because Mary Kay Cabot came out and said, "Hey, look, it was just a handshake." I think Quincy Avery also put out there like a little mini spoof video of kind of dissecting the handshake, kind of like an NFL football film, saying just the approach and how he approached him and everything. So I kind of want to go to Noah here, and then we'll go KFC, and I'll kind of give my thoughts. What do you kind of think about that handshake? Was it just something cordial? You're not going to ignore him? What do you think about that? Any smoke?
It was the right place at the right time. Stefanski was headed out. OBJ was headed in. They like each other. They hugged it out for a second. But I'll give Mary Kay credit. He has been all over stuff this offseason. But I will also say that I've pretty much been on this since free agency started. Like, it's not going to happen. The handshake was a handshake, and that was it.
Let me smell my candle. Let me smell my candle, man. I blew it out. I just blew it out.
Bro, you over trying to vape that thing, bro.
I just blew it out.
And right as free agency started as well, I think I put out there, probably not Browns, but Jets. And it seems like it's still looking Jets. So we'll see.
I hope not the Jets, man. We gotta play them. I mean, listen, I don't know. I don't know what OBJ's looking for. I don't know how much money. He's still looking for $15 million, and I guess he wants to play with Aaron Rodgers and playing in New York. He knows the city.
The thing is they've not got that deal done yet.
No, they don't have the deal done yet, right? I mean,
Aaron Rodgers is a psychopath, man. He might retire and go to like Australia or something.
I think truthfully, I think that he wants to go to, correct me if I'm wrong, no, I don't know how much you know about the situation, but like, I think he wants to go to New York, and it's just really a stalemate between the Jets and the Packers on compensation for Aaron Rodgers. I think the deal might get done during the NFL draft because of what players get picked up and things like that. And also, I think that's the reason why OBJ hasn't made an actual deal with New York yet. I mean, he wants to really make sure, like you're saying, KFC, he really wants to make sure that Aaron Rodgers goes to the New York Jets before he goes over there. Because, I mean, you might be playing with, who knows? I mean, there might be a scenario where Zach Wilson comes back and still there. I mean, I don't know if he's going to play under center, knowing how badly the Jets wanted to get rid of him. So, it's kind of
it kind of works out though, because like Aaron Rodgers isn't close with his mom, so it wouldn't even really affect
Oh my gosh. Jeff says Manny loves OBJ to the Jets since he's a Jets fan. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. No, I don't. No, you look like you wanted to say something there about Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know how much doubt there is really within the circles of the NFL, like within the Jets organization, within the Packers organization. I don't know how much doubt there is that a deal won't get done. I think that it's just a matter of time. And I think that could happen from any point between like literally right now till the NFL draft. I think that I mean, it's gonna get done at some point, right? Like the Packers
Mhm.
can't say no, 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 hold out. Then what? You have Aaron Rodgers on your roster with Jordan Love, and then it's like weird. Like it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of when they'll work out the compensation.
Yeah. And, there's a lot of smoke, but the Browns are bringing in a certain person. And somebody did just make a great comment about a great addition to the defensive line would be Al Woods.
What? Uh,
What?
do you want to take that, Noah?
Yeah, I mean, all I can say is they're bringing him in for a visit later in the week. He's also visiting with the New York Jets. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know which one's coming up first for him, but the Browns are in the market for another defensive tackle, a veteran. So whether it's Woods or if they strike out on him, maybe an Ashawn Robinson or someone like that. I mean, Ioannidis I know has been mentioned, but
Yes.
they're going to bring in another guy. It's just I think the question is who. So
Yeah.
they're going to have Woods in for a visit. Yeah.
I think the funniness, like me laughing, I just thought about the fact that it's Shelby. But shout out to Shelby. What's up, Shelby? And then secondly, isn't Al Woods like 37, 38 years old? Like, isn't he, or is he?
Oh.
No, he's 36. He's 36 years old. He's 36. I mean, I don't know. I like Al Woods, and I guess it's one of those things.
You got to think though, he's not going to be your star D tackle, and we do need that veteran presence. You go look at last year's defensive tackle room. Anything is an improvement.
Yes,
like literally.
Yes,
you need to revamp probably the whole room, maybe except Perrion. I think Perrion's pretty much back unless he just completely has a horrible camp and all that. But you get like a veteran guy like Al Woods alongside Dalvin Tomlinson, Mo Hurst, and Tristan Hill, and then you maybe even draft a rookie. Like, I mean, you're gonna have some pretty good competition going on in camp, and I mean, the good book does say iron sharpens iron.
That is true. That is true. And I do want to, kind of shift gears to the defensive tackle room because you hit the nail on the head for me. That's what I wanted to kind of address. I think that looking at this room, it's a lot of competition. I don't remember the last time there was so much competition heading into training camp for the Cleveland Browns in recent memory. I think that it's great to see a Perrion Winfrey out there kind of on I don't know if prove it is the right term, but it seems like that. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like the way he came in, not talented wise, I think just the noise he made just being drafted and barking and everything. I loved Perrion. I really did.
It got me hyped.
It got me super hyped. And even for the Cleveland Brown, for the puppy pound, the name was Perrion Winfrey. Right. So I think a lot of fans also gravitated toward Perrion Winfrey as well. And to just kind of not see what we thought. There was kind of some off the field issues surrounding him. So it's like he has to come into this season and is ready to play football. And so to surround him with Dalvin Tomlinson, like you were just saying, and Mo Hurst, and it's some competition out there to say, hey, man, you kind of got to get it right. I think that's something that's very intriguing to me, extremely intriguing to me. Noah, what do you think about the defensive tackle room moving forward? Do you think that they're going to add anybody else or kind of just add somebody through the draft? What's kind of your analysis on that?
I think they'll probably add another free agent. And then the draft, I think there's no reason to rule that out.
Right.
Like I've been saying in the past, like this front office isn't going to be like, oh, well, we need this position. We're drafting this position with our first pick in the draft. Like if they see an offensive tackle they love, they'll take him in the third round. They draft for best available. So if a defensive tackle is their best available, then they'll take him. If it's a safety, they'll take him. So, they'll definitely continue to add to this roster.
Yeah, and one thing that I really want them to bolster that D line is because that's one of my favorite things to watch is defensive line, because the battle of the game is won and lost in the trenches. And when you have, am I wrong? when you can't stop the run, you're going to get ran all over. If you can get pressure on the quarterback, he's not going to be able to throw it.
We can make an argument. I can make an argument that it's actually the wide receivers that matter. But I'm not. Listen. I don't want to turn this. I don't want to flip tables right now. Not yet.
I'm just saying.
Just go.
I mean,
continue.
go back. Like, I mean, that's just always been a thing, though. It's just that.
Yeah, but this is not. Listen, this is not the 1900s. All right. The trenches and defense wins championships. And I brought this up before. I don't want to digress, and I don't want to. I know we're talking about the defense tackle room. I don't want to bring it back to my wide receivers. I apologize, no in advance. But you look at these Super Bowl teams.
Your thing with these wide receivers. Go look at the Kansas City Chiefs, bro.
Omit the greatest quarterback of all time. The most
your quarterback's that good, you can make any receiver look good then.
And yet they still want to go out and get a DeAndre Hopkins. It is mind-blowing to me. It is But you know what? We haven't gotten there. I haven't been able to publicly.
Chris Jones. Frank Clark. That D-line's pretty solid, man.
If it's the D-line, that's Frank Clark would still be there. You know what I mean? Chris Jones, you get one. You get one on the defensive line who's a stud, and that's it. There's a bunch of no names other than that. If you have a good wide receiver.
So you're saying the defense, when they can do 3 and outs because they're stopping the run and they're getting to the quarterback, sacking him, giving Deshaun Watson more time to throw to his receivers. You wouldn't like that?
I would like that. I would like that. I'm not saying I don't like that. Shout out to Mitch Metz, by the way. He just said he's coming in a wee bit late. What's up, man? How you doing? But go ahead, KFC.
But going back to that, it's just like I want like just a monstrous D line because I want teams to, when they play the Browns, they're just like scared. They're like, man, we might get hit a lot today. We might not be getting much yards today. We might get blown out. Like if you can get a defense that instills fear. Like, I want one of them defenses like the old Pittsburgh Steelers defenses, the Ravens with Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. Like, I want like one of them top defenses, ones that's like, man, this offense is good, but that defense is scary. So that's why I'm so big on defensive tackles.
No. Listen. It's very important. I don't want to. I understand what MC's saying. I don't want to be too argumentative tonight. I'm in a spicy mood this evening because I'm in a spicy mood. I apologize because I know that we're not. What is it?
You feeling dangerous?
I'm feeling dangerous. I'm feeling really dangerous. I just want to make sure that we all are in agreement that this wide receiver room. I can address it actually. Now that nice little segue here. I do want to transition a little bit to the Elijah Moore trade because I don't know if we were able to talk about that yet. Have you talked about that yet, KFC?
What the
Elijah Moore trade? Yeah.
We talked about it Monday.
Okay,
we can talk about it again.
Yeah, I want to talk about it really quickly now that we have Noah, and I do want to talk about it a little bit and just to hear your thoughts more so in person. First and foremost, I absolutely love this trade. I know that it's kind of old news for us Brown fans because the offseason, there's always things moving, right? I'm so in love with this trade because essentially you got Elijah Moore and your pick back and you moved back, right? I mean, you just essentially moved back. So it's not even like the worst case scenario. And Jets fans are going to try to downplay it because, Elijah Moore had a little bit of an attitude and he's a locker room problem. He was a locker room problem when he had Zach Wilson under center. That's when you're a locker room problem. Sounds a little bit familiar as OBJ and Baker Mayfield, but let's, save that away. Put that away for now. But everybody's a locker room problem, especially wide receivers. They turn into divas when they're not getting the ball or the ball's going 10 feet over their head. That's just the fact of the situation. Having Elijah Moore come in here really rounds out our wide receiver room. And me being the wide receiver lover that I am, I feel very pretty. I feel good. I feel very good. I'm calm. I don't need an OBJ. I don't need a DeAndre Hopkins. Would I like that? I mean, just because you have a nice Toyota Camry and a nice Honda Civic doesn't mean you wouldn't say no to a Lamborghini SUV, right? I mean, you were not going to say no to that. But at the same time, I'm very content. I'm trying to be more content in 2023. So Noah, what are your thoughts on the Elijah Moore trade? Am I feeling right for feeling more content, or how are you feeling about this acquisition?
Yeah, I think that's fair. They were pretty aggressive in their pursuit of Elijah Moore. He was a guy that was going to be gone, probably be gone at least from the Jets because they have such a crowded wide receiver room there. And then Rodgers has come in and they want to bring in his own guys. So he just didn't really have a role anymore in New York, and the Browns were pretty aggressive, and it made a lot of sense. They were comfortable. For the most part, they were pretty comfortable, I think, with their wide receiver room before the trade. But then bringing in Elijah Moore just makes you even more comfortable. An injury goes down, you have those guys that were originally going to be playing for you who are going to be able to step in and play anyway. So the more depth you have, obviously, at those positions like that, the better. So yeah, I think they're really comfortable. I think that Browns fans can be content with that wide receiver room. Maybe see another, like I think they'll draft another wide receiver at some point. So just bring in a little more competition. Probably just make a couple of extra spots disappear. So yeah, I think they'll draft a wide receiver. I know they're meeting with Tank Dell tomorrow, or they met with him today, I think, and then Jalen Hyatt expected to be there tomorrow. So just doing their due diligence on wide receivers, and who knows who drops, and if they want to move up a little bit, maybe they explore that. But
yeah. So speaking of the Elijah Moore trade,
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Just because I think we fleeced the Jets. We moved back 30 picks, 32 picks or something like that. Got a good receiver too. And one stat that kind of stood out to me, I may be quoting this way wrong, but I believe in his career in the NFL, he only has 3 career drops. And that's insane. What is it? His third year? Is this his 4th year or 3rd year this year?
I think it's third. I think it's third.
Well, I mean, through 2 seasons to have 3 drops, that's I mean, that shows you he's got good hands. And he's one of the you go back to even his college tape, his routes are insane. And you put him alongside Amari Cooper, man, then we're gonna have one of the best duo route running receivers in the league.
Yeah. This is about to be he's going into his 3rd year in 2023.
So yeah, get hyped.
I'm super pumped. I'm super pumped. I loved him out of Ole Miss. I love the kind of dog peeing celebration. I just
Loved
like
it.
guys who, I just everyone knows that I love my noisy wide receivers. I like guys who aren't mute. I don't know why.
You don't like you like extroverts.
Yeah, I like you. I like you to be a little flashy. I like you to be a little flashy. I love the Amari Cooper accusation, but hey. So I do want to move slowly into the NFL draft because I know you wanted to talk that. I know you want to talk that KFC. I don't know. Are there any names out there that you really want us to get with our first pick? Is there somebody? Because the Cleveland Browns in general, I'll just put this out there. I don't know if you guys feel differently, but the Cleveland Browns did a very good job of just addressing all holes across the board in free agency. I mean, they did a very good job of, evenly distributing out the need. So I'm going into this draft for the first time in a long time that I can remember as a Browns fan, where I'm like, I don't really need any position with my first pick. There's not anything that say, hey, if you don't draft a wide receiver, it is over. If you don't draft a corner, a D tackle, it is over. Would you guys agree with that? Noah, would you agree with that? Or is there somebody that you really, or is there a position that you really, that's the first question. Is there a position that you really think we need to address? Or do you think it's kind of like best player available?
I think it's best player available. I think that's the motto that they've been running since Andrew Berry got here. Even if you could say, oh man, they need a wide receiver. If they didn't make that move for Elijah Moore and you're like, wow, they need a wide receiver, I don't think they go into the draft saying we're taking a wide receiver here, regardless. If there's no wide receiver there that they think is valuable enough to select with their first pick, they won't take it. That's just how this regime works.
What do you think, KFC? Is there? Because I actually kind of changed my mindset just slightly. And you only talked for about 10 seconds, but I kind of changed my mind a little bit. Because the whole regime with Andrew Berry has really never been, take what you really, really need.
Yeah.
So it's. Go ahead, KFC. What do you think, though?
So I want another safety, and I think that should be our first pick. And the way draft boards are starting to fall, Jordan Battle's starting to fall a little bit. JL Skinner's starting to fall a little bit. Jamie Robinson's starting to fall a little bit. And I'm really high on those 3 guys. And Sidney Brown, too. One of those 4 at 74, I'd be ecstatic. I'd be running through a wall. I'm not going to lie. Because if you can get Jordan Battle, he reminds me a lot of Jamal Adams at LSU. And then JL Skinner's 6'4". Sidney Brown can cover ground so quick. He's a ball hawk, can run super quick, jump super high for his height. And Jamie Robinson, his tape speaks for itself. So
I really like the guy, the D tackle out of Michigan, Mozzie Smith. Mozzie Smith. I like Mozzie Smith a lot. 6'3", 340, I think. A lot of scouts and even PFF is depending on how you feel about PFF, but rates him as kind of a long-term starter in the NFL. Mozzie Smith, I like that because having some more versatility on the defensive line, it would be great to kind of treat that defensive line like the Philadelphia Eagles did, where it's almost as like a starting DeAndre Square linebacker. MC, we need to talk about that because I know KFC's going crazy. But
I'm going nuts. You give me my Wildcats on the Cleveland Browns, I'm going to be going through
because it's biased. It's Kentucky, bro. It's Kentucky.
No, DeAndre Square is
Will
a
Levis.
dog.
This is what Will Levis does.
Listen. I love Will Levis. I don't think he's the best quarterback in this draft. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh,
I've said this.
I'm going to clip it.
Clip it. I don't think he's better than CJ. I don't think he's better than Bama guy. I think he's better than Bryce Young. I was blanking on it. My bad.
Oh, okay.
I was still thinking of safeties, and I was wanting to say Jordan Battle.
Right.
But I don't think he's better than CJ. I don't think he's better than Bryce Young. But
I don't think he's better than Anthony Richardson.
Oh, he's better. Dude, I'm telling you, so many people are buying into this hop. He's not that good.
Okay.
He's good, but I don't think he's what everybody's taking him because everybody's putting him already at like Lamar level. He's not there. He's still very raw because he's very young. If he's in the right system, I think he could do good. But I don't think he's a top 5 pick.
Okay. I want to quickly finish about Mozzie Smith because then I want to get to Noah about who he thinks his pick, if there's anybody out there that he really likes. But again, Mozzie Smith, I want the defensive line to kind of be for the Philadelphia Eagles, where they kind of have a starting pitcher rotation for the defensive line, where you just bring people out in and out during the game, during the season. Everyone pretty much stays fresh. Because you have a lot of versatility on that defensive line. And that's kind of, for me, how you preserve Myles Garrett's career and the longevity here while he's in the brown and orange, is just be able to move him around throughout the line, kind of shuffle him around there, and just have guys, Dalvin Tomlinson and Mozzie Smith and your Perrion Winfrey's, if he shows up at 007, to shift him around the line. I think it's going to be so nice to be able to have a group of talented guys, right? Not this huge drop off that we saw last year from Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney, more so his name, not more so his play, but Jadeveon Clowney, and then you just have a bunch of other guys, you know what I mean? So it's just, I would love to see that. This year and bring in a Mozzie Smith. That's what I would. Noah, is there a guy you have before we go to KFC's?
Yeah, I think along the lines of the Mozzie Smith, I think Gervon Dexter from Florida is another guy that they're looking at pretty close.
Yes.
So he had a formal meeting with the Browns, I was told, at the combine, and then also met with them, I think it was at this point last week, met with them as well. So multiple meetings. He lit up the combine. He had a really, really good combine, had a nice pro day. So I think that if he's in there in the 3rd round, then he could be a possibility. And then guys I've touched on before, BJ Ojulari, who we heard from at the combine as well, I like a lot. And I guess wide receiver wise, Tank Dell they met with today, but I think that he's a realistic option there as well. And then if we're still just talking anything draft, Anthony Kendall is a name too from the Division III school in Baldwin Wallace. It's right down the street from the Browns. They've shown the most interest in him among 5 or 6 teams. They've been pretty heavy on him and talking to him more than any other team. So we'll see about that. He could go undrafted. He could get drafted on day 3 as well. So we'll see if the Browns like him enough to draft him, or another team could like him enough. I know he's had phone calls with a couple of different teams and met with a couple of other teams. So we'll see. But undrafted, he'll probably have a good market to be an undrafted free agent. I think the Browns will be right in the mix on that too.
Quick question, though. What are the chances that the Cleveland Browns kind of draft a two-part question? What are the chances that the Cleveland Browns draft a running back? And if so, is there anybody that they kind of spoke to? And then 2, what are the chances that they get drafted really late quarterback, like DTR from UCLA? I know he's a 5th-year senior, so he's like 20 I don't even know. I don't even know how old he is. At 27 COVID years and all this. I don't know, but I mean, he's up there. What are the chances that they do something like that really, really late if a quarterback potentially falls? Because I don't know how much we love Josh Dobbs, but is there running backs and quarterbacks? Is you hear anything about that?
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past him. I think running back is way, way more likely than a quarterback because a quarterback, they still have Kellen Mond, I think, right?
Yes.
On the roster. So you have him who's still young and they still want to develop him as much as they can. So he's going to be your practice squad guy, probably with protection on the practice squad. So no other teams can take him if they want. And then you have Deshaun and Dobbs. So I don't think that quarterback necessarily is good. Like I could say right now, like they're going to take a quarterback late because it just wouldn't make a lot of sense because then you're getting rid of the Kellen Mond. So if they like a guy more than Mond and feel the need to draft him, then maybe they could sign an undrafted free agent quarterback and have him compete with Mond for that third QB spot maybe. But I think a running back's much more likely in the draft for sure.
Yeah. I do want to first and foremost, running back. I would appreciate us bringing in a running back. Because I think I know you're smiling at what you're about to say, but we got a comment from Charlie Cooper of Facebook. The acquisition of Marquise Goodwin was a great pickup as well. I do want to address that because I didn't address it before. I absolutely love that too, because that just shows you kind of the rotational kind of situation that's in the wide receiver room. Because God forbid anybody goes down, we kind of have a stout wide receiver room. I mean, Mari Cooper, you're looking at Elijah Moore and Marquise Goodwin and DPJ and Jakeem Grant if they decide to use him in a certain position, and then David Bell as well, looking to take that next leap this season. So I'm very comfortable. Again, I'm very comfortable with the wide receiver room. But KFC, you're making the faces. You want to say something before I move on to this next thing?
We're talking about running backs.
And go ahead.
There's been a few tweets out there about a guy I like in the draft, and that's Deuce from Kansas State.
I want to mute my mic.
This dude is a dog. I'm sorry. I think he would be a great running back 2 or a running back 3. I
love Deuce Vaughn
because he can play the receiver back. And, he's not the biggest dude. He's about 5'5", 5'6", somewhere in there.
That is short.
But these guys they're hard to tackle because they can maneuver underneath you.
Low center of gravity.
Yeah, exactly. And they can move their feet. And he's got a fast twitch. He can go, and he can just kind of juke out of anything.
How can he go? Can you do that one more time for listeners? Okay.
Yeah. And, he had 1,500 yards, 9 tutties, and right about 400 yards receiving with 3 tutties receiving. And his PFF grade was pretty good, I think. 82.1. That's pretty solid. The year before that, it was 91.6. And the year before that, it was an 89.0.
Yeah.
The only thing kind of knocking his grade down is pass block and run block because his pass block is atrocious.
Oh my gosh, I would imagine.
But he's
5'5",
yeah, when you're 5'5".
Yeah. 5'5" for 176, you're not going to be bucked.
Oh, MC just brought up a great point. He said you can't see him behind big dudes. So you could sneak him behind the O-line.
Yes, absolutely.
On screen passes.
Absolutely. And that's your and that is your Darren Sproles-esque. Maybe use him, potentially in special teams somehow. But obviously Jakeem Grant is going to be holding that down. Hopefully, fingers crossed, he's healthy and is able to be a really good kick returner and punt returner for the Cleveland Browns. Speaking still of that running back room, shifting gears slightly, because again, I think that this factor will sway who we draft and in what position, because Kareem Hunt is still out there, guys. I mean, it seems as though it was one of those situations where go ahead. Yeah, KFC showing the jersey. Go ahead. Test the market, see what you can get. And it looks like, the market's not that attractive for Kareem Hunt at this very moment. He had a little bit of a down year last year, didn't have the year that a lot of people expected him to have. I kind of want your guys' take on Kareem Hunt potentially coming back. No, I know I got to start with you here, because is there any noise, any whispers, I want to hear even a little mouse with some cheese. Give me something. Is there potentially any Kareem Hunt coming back? But maybe.
I still don't think it's likely. I think it was a couple weeks ago I had made a report about it, but I was told that the market wasn't probably quite what he had expected, and which obviously you alluded to, but the running back market in general, man, it's tough. It's tough, really tough. So I still wouldn't say it's likely, but I was told not to rule it out yet. So
Okay. I made a note of that because I do. I'm interested of how that would work out in KFC. I'm gonna give you that question as well. Do you see Kareem Hunt coming back? Because it seems a little bit interesting on how that would fit in. Obviously, it would be a 1-year deal, I would assume. And then just do you Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, and then where does Jerome Ford fit in all of this? I mean, you want to eventually kind of hand things off. MC says all things being equal, I think Hunt would love to be in Cleveland. I think he wants to be in Cleveland as well.
Yeah.
But it's just that it's like, hey, I want to get paid. This is probably his last bigger contract, I guess. He thought he was going to get a big break the bank, the Brinks truck, I guess. I don't know, but it's like, hey, it's going dry. Even Ezekiel Elliott.
That's what I was going to say. I think Zeke, where he's not like got picked up yet, like I think that's kind of hurting his because Zeke's a better running back.
Running back. Yeah.
So, that once he gets signed, I think shortly after you might see Kareem Hunt get picked up because, I mean, there's teams that still need a veteran top running back.
Yes.
And, I mean, Kareem Hunt still got some juice going for him. So, but I don't know if I want to see him back because I kind of want to see what Jerome Ford has.
Yeah.
And then I want Deuce Vaughn in Cleveland.
Yes. I think it's time to, especially, I certainly don't see him on a 2-year contract coming back to Cleveland, but I do, unless it's super, super, super low. What do you think, Noah? Do you think a 1-year, 2-year, or is it, if he comes back at all, like if he comes back, do you think it's going to be a certain guaranteed 1 year?
Yeah, I don't see him coming back. I'll say that first.
Right.
Obviously, I'm reporting what I was told.
Right.
I do not see him back. I don't think it's going to happen, but I was told not to shut the door, which is all I'm saying. If he's back, it's a 1-year deal. He's not signing a multi-year deal here for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it'll be a 1-year deal.
And if it and so if you and by the way, everyone who's watching and listening, if you have any questions for Noah, please throw it in the chat because I know a couple of people wanted to ask you some questions, but I haven't seen any yet. So please throw them in the chat. But also, if he does come back, the reason I also really don't see a multi-year contract is because there was. Like Deshaun Watson's a yearly price is going to go up next year, the year after next year. And so I think that you want to get those kind of guys on a rookie deal. I mean, your Jerome Fords, your Deuce Vaughns. I mean, you can get Deuce Vaughn for super, super cheap, depending on what round you get him in.
Yeah.
So I would love Deuce Vaughn. I really would. I mean, Jerome Ford, give him some carries, let him ease into that role, and potentially figure out a way to still have one of the best running back rooms in the NFL. I mean, you're starting off great with Nick Chubb, and I just don't want the fall off to be crazy at that position and rely on Nick Chubb, to have 30 plus carries, 20 plus carries, 30 plus carries a game. I don't think that's our offense anymore. So that's one thing that's going to help him out. But at the same time, it's like you want to have somebody who's comparable, but he goes down or have an illness or something.
Yeah. And sorry, I just kind of got this thought in my head. I've got to ask you guys. So how sure are you guys on the linebacking room? Because I mean, we re-signed AWalk, which we talked about that last time, Noah, me, you, and Mac, and that was right before he had signed back and he was going to that visit with the Commanders. But getting AWalk back, JOK's coming back, Jacob Phillips. Is there any smoke or any noise about another linebacker possibly coming in?
I haven't heard anything specific. I'll say with Deion Jones, I think he has a visit within the next week or so with another team. I think I saw that today. So I don't know the likelihood of him coming back, but I haven't heard anything specific on linebackers. I'm sure they'll bring in another one at some point between now and draft, or in the draft maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I know that they've met with quite a few players. Have there been any notable linebackers that they've met with
in terms of free agents or the
draft?
I don't have any specific names for you guys, but I'm sure that they're meeting with a ton of people. They're meeting with a lot of guys.
I for the linebacker room, obviously, there's a lot of guys that are in the linebacker room who the weird thing that I personally feel, and feel free to disagree, guys. The weird thing that I feel personally is we had a couple linebackers step up last year when A-Walk went down, right? Taki, I think Tony Fields had that 2 interception game in his short little where he returned even one back for a touchdown, I think.
Yeah, versus Houston.
Yeah, versus Houston. So it's like the defense really showed up there. It's like you kind of have some guys where it's like you had a pretty good season last year, all things considered, when you were asked to step up. We do want to see that. So it's kind of a rock and a hard place for the Browns, where it's like, do we need a linebacker? Obviously, yeah. But at the same time, it's like, from a strictly team perspective, would you guys agree that it's kind of like the guys who you asked to step up kind of did? Like, why don't you give Taki a shot? Why don't you put Tony Fields out there and really see what you have in a Tony Fields? Would you guys kind of agree that that's the position that the Browns are in right now? Christian, you go ahead and
I think that they'll bring in some guys in the draft, which I want to touch on that. DeAndre Square. Everybody knows I'm a big Kentucky guy. It's going to sound a little biased, but if we can get DeAndre Square like real late, like 6th, 7th, I don't know where he's getting mocked at, or even if he's even outside of the draft, if he goes undrafted. But, I saw this guy in person. Dude's pretty good at stopping the run. I mean, over his time at Kentucky, he had 150 solo tackles, 150 assisted tackles, totaling at 303 tackles. 23 tackles for a loss, 6.5 sacks, 3 interceptions, and his PFF grade was pretty good last year. It was a 76 overall, with his run defense being at 76.8 and pass rush being 72.9. I think that he would be a solid piece, like just rotational guy. Like, I'm not going to say he's going to come out here and be Bobby Wagner or Ray Lewis or something like that, but I think he would be like a nice depth piece, because we had so many linebackers on the team last year because I felt like everybody got hurt. Like, we lost A-Walk week 3.
Yeah.
Taki, Jacob Phillips. I mean, just plethora of guys just went down in that linebacker room. JOK was out for a while. So, I mean, as much depth, if we can get depth on that, that'd be great.
Noah, I wanted to ask you really quickly. Did you feel is that kind of the situation that you see the Browns in as well? Like, having so many linebackers that kind of stepped up. Is that why they're kind of stalling on making a lot of those linebacker acquisitions, and also bringing back Anthony Walker, because obviously he didn't want to sign with the Commanders, or maybe it was less money, and they're like, hey, we brought back A-Walk as well. It's like, do we even make any moves? Is that kind of what you were seeing as well, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think that Walker, like I said in the past too, he was just a staple, like no other, in that linebacker room, in that defense, on that defensive side of the ball, and just in the locker room in general for everyone. Players literally adore him. So that was something that I felt probably would happen. I know he had a level of interest in coming back to the Browns. So the Browns ended up bringing him back, obviously. So I don't think they're in a rush to bring someone else back or to bring someone else in,
right?
But it's going to happen eventually. This front office is never going to get in that sort of, we need someone now. They're going to wait it out, and they'll make sure that they get who they want. It's one point or another.
Yeah, I totally.
They still have a good amount of players in that room now at linebacker. So guys that they're comfortable with.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the point I think I'm trying to portray here. It's like they have guys in that room that you're not upset with if they have to play, because they showed that they can do that. Now, if they came out and it just looked horrible once again, and everybody's getting to that sort of pseudo second level going right through the defensive line, and then linebackers aren't making tackles, then you're going to see that be a larger need. But I mean, they did pretty well for the position that they were put in, getting down to that linebacker 3 kind of situation. MC says, Manny says, let them know if you disagree, then gets all upset if you do. I mean, look. Depending on the way you disagree, okay? If you're really disagreeing with what I'm saying, I'm gonna give a little pushback, all right? But I mean, you could say it. I'm gonna reply. Also, We have a question for Noah here. Mitch Metz from Twitter says, "How many years does Batonio have left?" Meaning, and he reiterated more so meaning on the roster, like how longevity wise. He was wondering, if we brought in a guard, was it more so of a replacement for Wyatt Teller being injury prone, or is it more so for being that successor to Joel Batonio? Because again, he's a Pro Bowler. Batonio is, and I mean, these guys don't just grow on trees and don't play forever. How many years do you think Joe Batonio has left roughly in him?
Yeah, I don't think that there's a set number at this point. Like, that dude's an all-pro year in and year out. He's not showing any signs of regression, so I don't think the Browns are going to be ready to move on from it anytime soon until they start seeing that regression, or maybe an injury could throw that off a little bit as well. But until they see that regression, I don't think that there's any sort of time frame of when he's going to be done. But they're going to continue to bring in guys, solid depth guys on that line too, just in case those injuries happen. If Batonio gets hurt and they're making a run at the playoffs week 15, 16, they want a guy that's going to step in and help them win a playoff game. So they're going to continue to bring in those types of guys. I think Batonio, I don't think he's a free agent until like 2026. So, I mean, he's still got years left on that deal. And he's going to be a guy that they're probably going to rework that deal at some point. Not this offseason, but between him, maybe Amari Cooper, like those are all guys that'll rework their contracts to stay here.
Yeah, I want Batonio here for like the longevity of his career. I don't care if
another Joe Thomas kind of thing.
Well, I mean, I think this year makes like the same like time that he spent with the Browns, like Joe Thomas did, because he only spent 9 years.
Yeah.
So I think this will be his 9th or 10th season. So, I mean, he is the longest tenured Brown, I think, other than Charlie Hewitt. So.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think so. One of our other questions that we just had, and I'll answer that question as well. I do like Joel Batonio. He's one of those guys that I think is a cornerstone of this franchise, and I would love for him to stay here a while. I do think that depending on, you're seeing kind of like with Jason Kelce. I mean, he's a center, right? Jason Kelce's signed a 1-year deal with the Philadelphia Eagles to stay with them, and they just were in the Super Bowl. I think it depends truthfully on how good the Browns are. Right. I think a lot of players don't want to sacrifice their body season in and season out for a team that's just not getting any better. Joe Thomas, I mean, stud for being with the Browns for as long as he has been, and the Browns just have not been, producing during his tenure here. So a lot of people question why he's a Hall of Famer if you're not a Browns fan. A lot of people outside looking in, they really don't get that. But I will say that with the Browns kind of making this turn to kind of be a contender, right? Baltimore, you don't know what's happening with Lamar. They might be on their way down. It seems as though the Browns can make a little playoff push, which might extend Batonio a little bit. You know what I mean? And his mindset about what he goes through in the trenches and being here for a little bit. We have one of our last questions here is basically, is Stefanski on a hot seat now for this season? I know this is kind of a vague question. It's not really like it's kind of your opinion. Is Stefanski on the hot seat going into the season? I mean, it's a valid question because he has pretty much everything right at his disposal now that he needed. You're filling in best player available in the draft. And it just seems as though this is a roster to make some noise, especially if Lamar's not there. I mean, what are your 4th place schedule, easiest schedule? So is he like, if I guess it depends on what the record is at the end of the season and the circumstances within that record. But Noah, what do you think about this question? Is there a way that you can possibly answer that?
Yeah, that word, like hot seat, I know fans this offseason have been saying that if he doesn't have a good season, then it's like, okay, he's gone. But within the organization, that's not anything that they're not looking at it as he's on the hot seat. If he doesn't have a good year, then he's done. Jimmy Haslam loves him. He's not like, look, Kevin, if you don't have a good season this year, you're out. That's just not something that you do. So he has all the stuff at his disposal, has a ton of talent, and the Browns, the entire organization obviously everyone pitches in with their own way within the organization, but everyone wants the success of the team, and they have all these weapons, they have all this different stuff. And so Kevin Stefanski and everyone else are going to do the best they can to put out a good product on the field and make it run in the playoffs. So I don't think that word hot seat's being thrown around in the organization at all. Yeah. It's just another season, and they want to win.
Yeah. I think the only way that he ends up on the hot seat is if the Browns start off like 0-6. And I think that's when they would like just cut ties. Like if they just come out atrocious, like Hubert Jackson level top Browns with this roster, like that would be the only way I could see it. I know like back at the end of the season, I kind of overreacted. I was just mad at the world because I wanted to go to the playoffs and I wanted to beat Pittsburgh. And then I was like, fire him. But that was just spur of the moment reactions. I like Kevin Stefanski, but like Noah said, I don't think anything's on the hot seat.
Yeah, I completely agree with what both of you are saying. I don't think I think that's just an attractive, sexy word to use by Browns Twitter. Hot seat, hot seat. Is that person on the hot seat? Look. Kevin Stefanski's on the hot seat, right? The only way he's fired mid-season is if he does exactly what KFC just said. I mean, if you start off this season, and you're 0-6, 0-7 with a fourth place schedule, you're playing teams like the Titans who are just basically blowing it up. The Ravens twice a year without Lamar, right? The Broncos, I mean, they make it a little bit better, but the Colts and Texans, I mean, it's Kyler Murray still has that torn ACL, so he might not be back until November. So depending on when you play the Cardinals, if it's an easy schedule in the first 4 or 5 weeks again, like it was last year, it's like you can't go through that schedule again. Joe Woods is fired. You got a new special teams, coordinator. It's like, I mean, hey, you covered all of it. So if you're going 0-6, 0-7, hey, the mirror is looking at you, right? I mean, it's going to be Kevin Stefanski. But I think it's because we all, as Browns fans, for the majority of us, realize that last year wasn't on Kevin Stefanski, right? I mean, it just wasn't. I mean, there's so many holes everywhere as you look. But this year, it's a little bit different. So I give a little bit more leniency to that of the hot seat word, but 99% of me is like, no, he's not on the hot seat. Just like MC says, Haslam's a patient guy.
Look, real quick, if the Browns start 0-6, 0-7, I think there's going to be bigger issues in that organization than Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah, very good point. I mean, what do you do? The disaster, the atrocity that would happen in Cleveland if the Browns start 0-6, 0-7. Man, I don't want to see another. I don't even know what to even say. I mean, oh man, I can't. Wow. That will be something that we're going to have to live down for another 20, 30 years, because that would be just the repercussions from that. Right. I mean, Deshaun Watson's going to be that's a mistake. That's a mistake. I mean, if you're 0-6, 0-7 with Deshaun Watson under center after hype videos and a whole offseason of being with your team, that's a mistake.
If we start 0-6, I'm not watching football ever again.
I know. I'm going to just watch table tennis. I'm going to pick a table tennis team or player and just watch that, right?
I'm going to start watching underwater basket weaving. That would be my go-to sport.
Yes, absolutely. MC says, wish Mac was here. You know what? Listen, everybody loves Mac. I think it's a Buffalo. Everyone just loves Buffalo.
Stash.
It's the mustache. It's the mustache.
And he cries too. He cries a lot too.
Whatever. I mean, hey. First and foremost, everybody. What?
He does cry.
He does cry. He does cry. We have videographic evidence of that. Snapchat. But anyway, thank you so much, Noah, for being on with us. Listeners and watchers, you can follow Noah at Browns with Noah. That is no spaces on Twitter, on Instagram. Is that correct? Wonderful, wonderful Browns content. A fantastic reporter for the Browns. I mean, it's amazing having you on. Noah, any final words here?
No, I appreciate the kind words. The last thing I'd leave you with is, I know your guy's DeAndre Hopkins. What if he gets released? Like, then what? No, that's all I'm saying. Nothing crazy. I'm just saying, like, teams are not in on him. I'm sorry, I phrased that wrong. Teams are in on him, but not for that price. So what if he gets released? I'm just curious as to where you think he would go.
Wait. So wait, hold on one second. I never even thought about DeAndre Hopkins getting released.
Who said? I said that in our group chat.
Wait, did you really?
Yeah, like back in January, because I looked at his contract and he has like a cut. Isn't it like if he gets cut before a certain date, like they don't got to pay the guarantee?
I'm not sure the exact terms of his contract, but I don't think it's out of the
Pull it
question
up.
that he gets released. I know Albert Breer had talked about that too. I think it was earlier today. So I'm just putting that out there, like, just interesting.
I would depending on how much money
Okay.
he wants.
They got a potential out, and it says this offseason, and I think there's 22,000 dead cap if they cut him, but it turns into 30 next year.
That's a very good. Well, first and foremost, I just want to say he's. It's hard to say with this wide receiver room because it's so like from top to bottom pretty good. But he would be at Cleveland. Why would he not come to the Cleveland Browns? Why is there? I can't figure out another team that he would rather go. Maybe Kansas City if he wants to win, but I don't understand as to why he would not want to come to the Cleveland Browns. Could he be released this offseason?
There's a potential out. I think it's like one of them. He has like his money's like guaranteed on like a certain date, and if they cut him before that, they don't have to pay all the guaranteed.
I am so
maybe totally wrong.
Is that kind of like Austin Hooper? What we do with Austin Hooper a little bit?
Yeah, it's like a
cut him before
kind of like JJ3, like that type of contract, I believe.
I'm actually truthfully, and I'm not speechless most of the time, but I'm actually speechless because I never thought about that possibility. But again, if that happens, I don't care what we have to do. I'm getting goosebumps right now talking. I don't care what we have to do. If we can get DeAndre Hopkins and negotiate that contract, and I know he'll take a little bit less to be here in the Cleveland Browns uniform. I mean, Noah, help me out. Is it possible? Is it something that I can't even speak?
He dropped that bomb on Manny.
No, I can't even. What am I going to do with the rest of the evening? I'm supposed to eat dinner. I can't even eat. I won't. What do you like?
The Cardinals are going to try their best to get a pick, or probably at this point like a day 3 pick for him. So we'll see if a team like Kansas City just throws them that day 3 pick, takes on some of that contract, and rolls with it. If he is released, I think it gets a little more interesting. However, I wouldn't say if he gets released, like, oh, he's going to Cleveland. Like, right. I think there's going to be a lot of teams on him, a lot of contenders in on him, wanting to sign him to a 1-year deal to just make a run. Yes, Deshaun Watson here helps, obviously. But if a guy like Patrick Mahomes calls you and says, yo, let's run it up in Kansas City, like, yes, Deshaun Watson, they have that built-in chemistry. But another quarterback calling you is like, okay, like, a lot of people want me. Maybe the Bills call him. Maybe the Jets call him. You know, who knows, right? So I think that he'll have a lot of suitors if he is released. A lot of guys calling him, a lot of players calling him, a lot of teams calling him. So I wouldn't say that the Browns are like the front runner on that. But I just think it would be interesting that if he is released, how people were banging the drum at the beginning of this offseason, like, throw him your 2nd-round pick and take him. Like, teams aren't willing to give up anything close to that.
Yeah, no.
So, hot take on D-Hop. If he does get released, he goes wherever Lamar Jackson goes.
Oh man, I don't think he wants.
They're boys.
It's hard because it's hard to know where he wants to go because he doesn't have that no trade clause anymore. So if there was teams thrown around with that no trade clause, then it would make more sense as to where. But like, did he really want to go to Baltimore, or is Baltimore just willing to give that second because it's like, hey, you know, Jacksonville's another player in that. I mean, Jacksonville, they're having a fantastic season and last year, and they're like, hey, the door is wide open for our division now. AFC South is wide open for them to win it again. It's like, man, why don't we make a deeper run, get D-Hop? I mean, they gave all that money to Christian Kirk. I mean, it's hard to say where he would want to go if he's released because he would have to want to go there now. So, and it's hard because if he had that no trade clause, you can hear some smoke, right? Kind of like with Deshaun, where, hey, if the Browns are in it, that means that Deshaun might be interested, right?
Yeah.
So I wish there was a no trade clause there, but what a fit. I have a lot of stuff to do tonight now with that because I'm going to go crazy on the timeline. I know you said I got to look at that text again, Chris, because I don't remember you saying that.
It's way back.
Okay.
It was like when the D-Hop, like when we were
fiasco.
actually, yeah.
Like, man, I'm sweating thinking about that. Anyway, Hey guys, go ahead. What are you gonna say?
Before
Go on.
that, if you guys aren't already, go check our Facebook. We're doing a t-shirt giveaway. I think the only rules are just follow the pod on Facebook, share the post, and comment what you think that the record will be. We'll be announcing that winner on Friday, April the 7th at 7 p.m., 6 p.m.,
Awesome.
whatever time that is.
Awesome.
You can get one of these cool Cleveland One Before I Die. And then Manny Sick
down with the Browns.
Yeah.
So yeah, great quality.
Yeah.
Great good quality.
Awesome. Go check it out and go follow us anywhere you want to follow us. Just not in person. It'd be kind of weird. But again,
no, it's like yeah, that's it. Yeah, don't do that. Awesome.
But again, thank you, Noah, for hopping on with this. We really appreciate you and all your insight. And go Browns.
Go Browns, baby. Go Browns.